This how God works. Take my position, what is given with no concerns. Set it off. Top of the morning, I'm gonna set it off.
What up, y'all? It's Monday, beautiful Monday morning out here. My name is Andrew Defy, aka the Gorilla Poet Laureate, aka the Hoodie God, aka Spittin' Quarantino, aka I wear my sunglasses indoors because my eyes are as sensitive as my heart is, y'all. And we have a very, very special edition. Monday I always bring in guests, and I have a hitter for you this morning. We are going to talk to Adrianne of Adrianne Aligned. This is, I was going over this morning, like, how do I introduce Adrianne? Like, Adrianne's like a mom, a creative, an activist, a healer, like so many things, community leader. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to ask Adrianne how Adrianne identifies Adrianne. Because, it ain't that important, the labels that other people put on us. It's important the labels that we put on ourselves. You know what I'm saying? So we're just going to get right into it with Adrianne this morning. So, y'all, welcome Adrianne to the program.
This how God works. Take my position, what is given with no concerns. Set it off. Top of the morning, I'm gonna set it off.
What up?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Let me get that background going. There we go. There we go. We're all the way live now. So first off, how are you on a wonderful Monday morning?
I'm doing well. So far, so good. So far, so good.
How do you, so you probably heard that, you do so much in the community. People know you from so many different lanes. How do you identify yourself and what you do?
Let me think. I'm really just like a humanitarian at my core. One of my IG handles is altruistic alchemist because I'm really selfless and I like to transmute like anything, like pain to peace, power, all that, growing through my struggles and shit like that. I'm a retired activist. I'm, with some of the things, but I have like shied away from that label. I'm not really big on labels. I'm a human. I'm just out here trying to help people help themselves and help myself along the way.
And steady doing that. For those of y'all who may not know Adrianne is one of my favorite follows in all of Sacramento. Whether you're talking Facebook or IG, just constant gems being dropped. And this last week, Adrianne posted this story about once upon a time, I watered a fake succulent for about a week or so. And I thought that shit was growing until my child was like, Mom, no, laughing my ass off. So I think the point of this popping into my mental is to act as a reminder to be intentional with where and what we pour our time and energy into. Don't let you be the one playing you. Yeah. And I was like, damn it, I need to get Adrianne on the joy hunt so we can talk about all of this. But just that ability to really soak up a universal message out of something as small as like, yo, I watered a fake succulent for a week.
Right.
So make sure you are following Adrianne on all of the handles. There's Adrianne Aligned, there's Altruistic Alchemist, and those are the IG handles.
Yes.
And then Adrianne, and then spell Adrianne backwards as the last name.
Adrianne in Erda.
Yeah. Well, we already got someone jumping in and said, "Don't let you be the one playing you." Yes,
exactly. We have to hold ourselves accountable.
Yo, and that's like another part. Like I constantly see that as kind of a foundation in the self-care work that you're doing, is like that accountability to self and to the community, you know, but starting with that accountability to self. Like,
right. I think it's like unreal for us to like expect other people or other entities, organizations, politicians, whatever. I think it's unreal for us to expect to be able to hold them accountable. And like there's things that we're not doing within ourselves for ourselves, like to be our best selves. So I'm here for that. Like I feel like you have to be the change you want to see. So essentially that starts with me. I used to want to like change the world. I was like overly ambitious. So I was overexerting my energy and giving it to everybody else and all the things. And I'm like, I really need to like pour into me and like be my best self. And when I'm at my best, like I can do so much more for everyone else.
Yeah, that's we're gonna keep diving a little deeper into that philosophy as the show goes on. Right now, y'all know what time it is. You know how we start this show every day. What's your number?
This how God works. Play my position, what is given with no concerns. Go. Set it off. Top of the morning, I'm gonna set it off.
What's your number, y'all? On a scale of 1 to 10, A to Z, you give me an animal, you give me a color. I don't care. I don't make your scale up. You make your scale up. You know what I'm saying? So where are you today on the joy scale? And the reason we do this is because if you know where you are, then you know where you're trying to get to. You know what I'm saying? So I would say today I'm at a good like 8, maybe coming up to it's a climbing 8. You know what I mean? I got to get through the juice. Like I do juice like a lot of people do coffee, right? So you know, I'm at that, and I got some of them old people pains going on right now. You know what I mean? Like I need a good like half an hour of yoga, and I woke up a little too late to get my yoga in. But you know, emotionally feeling really good. What about you, Adrianne? What's your number?
I'm at a pretty solid 9 right now. I definitely see it elevating as the day goes on, maybe after I get through my first glass of coffee. But yeah, I'm pretty solid thus far.
How you doing in the comments? Let's see. Kason says 7 or 8. Happy sloth until the tea is done. Yo, it'd be like that. Whether it's the tea, the juice, the coffee, whatever your morning beverage is, sit and sip with us. If you on, you could tell us where your joy scale is at. Tell us what your number is. But again, this ain't for me. This is for you. You know what I'm saying? You the one who needs to take stock of it. I generally I prescribe taking stock in the morning and then taking stock at night, and just kind of checking in with yourself where you're at as to what you need. I know for me, one of the things that I realized is, and I had a dip over the weekend. I was dealing with some stuff, and what I realized is how real it is that when I'm at a 1, joy looks way different than when I'm at a 9 or a 10, right? Like a 9 or a 10, I could be joyful with anything, like literally have like big obstacles like pop up in the way and be like, I am thankful for the opportunity to overcome these obstacles. But when I'm at a 1, I'm like, everything sucks. All of it's my dog. Yeah, she's cute, but she smells and that breath is so terrible. You know what I mean? Like, so if you know where you're at, then it kind of helps like where you what you need to do, what the next steps are. You know what I'm saying? Kason said, good morning, y'all. Thanks, Andrew and Adrianne. We ain't even started yet. Wait until you hear the gems that Adrianne is about to drop about self-care. You're going to really be thanking us. So let's get to it. Let's get to the great joy hint portion of our show so we can get deep with Adrianne.
This how God works. Play my position, what is given with no concerns. Go. Set it off. Top of the morning, I'm gonna set it off.
So, first off, there we go. So Adrianne of Adrianne Aligned.
Yes.
First question is, what does alignment look like to you? What is alignment?
Alignment to me is just being like servicing servicing your soul, spirit, you're in whatever it is that you refer to your inner core as. You know how people will like align their vehicles, or will like service our refrigerators or our washing machines, like our big appliances or whatever. I just really want to encourage people to use that same energy for themselves, but internally, because, you know, a lot of people go to the gym, like that's, you know, I'm here for that physical, you know, that's your health is your wealth. But I feel like internal wealth is like untouchable. And if we like really pour into each other and into ourselves, like I just feel like it'll be something otherworldly, but we really have to like refocus and recenter in on that. And it's not all like love and light. Sometimes it's, you know, dark and heavy, and you got to sit and just really marinate and grow through what you go through ultimately.
Yeah, I think you know, one of the first things when people say alignment that I think of is like cars, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the way that they align the steering wheel to the tires, right? Otherwise, because if you're out of alignment, that means you're gonna have to keep correcting, right? You got to keep like swiveling right instead of left because you're leaning to the left. So making sure that just everything, so that the inside and the outside kind of match, right?
Yeah.
And I know that's it's one of those terms that I think like has a little bit of it mystifies people a little bit, where they're like alignment. Oh, you're on that woo woo shit, and it's like no. Let's get to the science of it. That like, you know, if everything has a frequency and a vibration, then you're really trying to just line up those frequencies and vibrations, right? Like, So one of the other, like the biggest reasons that I wanted to have Adrianne on is Adrianne, you know, kind of just alluded to it, that it's not always love and light when you're talking about self-care. There's a very glamorous part of self-care that a lot of people talk about, the spa days and treating yourself. But there's a lot of other work to it that isn't so glamorous, and that's what I always see Adrianne pushing and kind of leading folks through. So what does real self-care look like to you?
I feel like the secret sauce is really like self-awareness and self-acceptance. Because without like those things, you could be buying yourself like hellish shit that you don't even need, like thinking it's gonna do something for you, and like letting your possessions possess you essentially, and it's not really doing anything for like your inwards, like you at your core. So I really try to push like self-acceptance and like self-awareness. We're all at different, you know, levels. Everybody's healing is, you know, personal. Some people are more invested than others. And, you know, it's not at all linear. Some days you feel like you're on 10, and then some days it's like negative 1,000. And it's just, you know, it fluctuates. It's not at all like linear. And it's just really dependent upon how much you're investing in yourself, how much energy you're willing to put towards your healing. And sometimes, you know, it's uncomfortable. I'll think of situations that I've been in the past, like, oh, I couldn't handle this, like, so. But I mean, it's already happened, and I can't, you know, go back and do it any differently. So I just take from that situation and then like apply it in moving forward. So if I were to ever find myself in a situation like I was in, I would know how to handle it more in alignment, like with me and what resonates with me.
Well, I think the idea of like self-acceptance, right? Like even that is this process where like, you know, for me, I had to like walk it back, right? Like I wanted to love myself. I wanted to practice self-love. But every time that I was like, I love myself, like my inner self was like, no, you don't. What are you talking about? You're fronting right now. And realizing like you can't have love without trust. That's any relationship, right? Like including self to self. And then this idea that if you haven't practiced forgiveness, then trust is really hard, right? Like, so like walking it back. And I think when we're talking about like self-acceptance, that self-forgiveness is so crucial. And like we be holding on to things that we don't even know that we're holding on to sometimes. Just to go into my own personal story a little bit, that like I was born with this wild medical condition, And I realized one of the things that I needed to forgive myself the most for, I needed to forgive that little baby for being born with this medical condition, which is a wild thing to like hold on to and like beat yourself up for. And like, what are you going to do? You can't do anything about this. It doesn't even make sense. But this idea of like, sometimes you got to forgive yourself for circumstances, things that you've been through, as well as, you know, things that you've actually done. Do you find self-forgiveness plays like a big role in that self-acceptance?
Absolutely. I feel like the two are definitely very much intertwined. There's so much power in forgiveness, especially to yourself. I feel like we definitely do disservices to ourselves. You know, as humans, we're our own worst critics. But really, just acknowledging and then like creating and holding space for yourself, like that is so radical. And just like really acknowledging and honoring your feelings, like, you know, yeah, I fucked up, or I was in a fucked up situation, or I could have did this like that or whatever, but really just creating space and just holding yourself and like holding that inner child, or holding whatever version of it is yourself that you need to like forgive.
Yo, I had a mentor in this process who walked me through a visualization of walking into a room with a crib. There's a baby in the crib, and it's baby you. And you go pick up this baby and you hold this baby and you tell this baby that you love it. Like, I'm getting emotional even just thinking about it right now, because there's so much that we carry,
Right.
and so much just through life. And then this practice of, in meditation, I would go through each year of my life. I love you at 1. I love you at 2. I love you at 3. I love you at 4. I love you when you were a wild ass 20-year-old who like didn't listen to nobody and didn't really care, like you were living destruction derby, you know? So I think being able to go back and then offer ourselves the same forgiveness, you know, I'm always telling people you gotta be your best friend,
Right.
you know, where like, if Adrianne came to me and was like, yo, I had this happen and this happened and this happened, I'd be like, yo, take it easy on yourself. Like, be gentle with you. Like, you couldn't do anything about that. But if I'm talking to myself about the same scenario, I'm like, you have got to be the stupidest fucking piece of trash that's ever lived. What are you like? We go so hard on ourselves, and it's like such a practice to be gentle on ourselves, right?
Yes, such a journey. I am regularly going through that. I'm like, girl, you like I find myself becoming advised by my advice. I'm like, oh, okay, like take it yourself. Like, this message was for not only for other people, but I find a lot of like my downloads and like the little gems that I get is very much for me as well as for other people. I really just speak from like my experience, and I find that in doing that, like so many, I feel like we all have so much more in common than difference, really. They want us to highlight and zero in on like what we have that are like differences or whatever. But I really feel strongly that we have so much more in common with each other. Like common struggles, all of that. We can like find joy, we can create change, we can do all the things. It's just a matter of like focus and shifting.
Yeah. No, I find, so I like to leave messages for my future self on Facebook. And like, it's really cool when the rest of everybody's like, oh man, I got so much out of that today. But like, I know in here that it's like, that was for me next year when I check on these memories or something, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, it's I think a lot of the best advice that I've ever pulled from someone else was kind of advice they were giving themselves.
Right.
You know, like kind of getting to eavesdrop on that conversation. I feel like that's a lot of when I see your post, that's a lot of where it is like, yo, she's like working this process, and that's like, that's who I want to take advice from. Yeah. Right. Like, I don't never want to listen to some teacher, especially as far as self-care or joy, that's like, all right, so I got it. So let me get like, hold on. What do you mean you got it? Like, this is a process that we all steady learn. Expansion is not like an end goal. You know what I mean?
Right.
So find me yeah, find me the people who are like doing the work right now, and I'm like, yeah, that's who I'm trying to tune in with. So what are, we talk a lot about practices and rituals, right? So what are your self-care practices and rituals? What do those look like? What are your every day to your every week, every month?
Daily before I get up, I have this little mantra. I'm really big on like wordplay. So I have my GTA mantra. I think of something that I'm grateful for, something that I'm thankful for, and something that I'm appreciative of. I just like set those intentions before I get out of the bed. When I make my coffee, I'll like stir and I'll also like stir in my intentions, like what I want to like manifest for the day, like the kind of energies I want to like gravitate towards. Nightly, I meditate. I create space like throughout the day to just sit. I'm often in my head. I'm super air sign, so I'm always in my thoughts. So I'll like meditate. I like to like make candles. It's different throughout the day. On Sundays, Sundays are like my spiritual self-care days. So I'll like cleanse and like freshen up my spaces. I really like to like tend to my plants. Watering my plants every morning is like a therapeutic process. I've been putting my daughter on to it though, so she's been doing the watering. But it's like joy. I find joy in like seeing her do that, and she'll get up like, oh, where's the water bottle, and like get to that she knows that it's like part of her day. I really just try to create time for me throughout the day. But in the mornings, I have a pretty solid routine, and the nightly, I'll like honor my ancestors, and then go to sleep, and then hopefully do it again the next day.
Yeah, I think those morning rituals are so crucial. Like, I mean, the nighttime rituals, I got nothing against them. I find those are the ones that it's harder for me to stick to, because I'm like, I'll get stuck in some creative thing and like, yo, this is what I'm doing right now. Like, I've got to get this thing done. But the morning routine of, especially just that gratefulness in the morning, that's a big part of like why we started doing this show, was to like help get on that gratitude vibration real early in the morning. So I like that. I like that GTA alignment.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? And so here's another question. Do you sleep with your phone by your bed?
No, I put it on airplane mode, and then I set it like to the side.
A lot of people whom I know who like do this work, like this healing work, like I've yet to talk to like a healer that's like, oh yeah, I keep my phone right by my bed and I look at it first thing when I roll over in the morning. Like, that shit is poison. Yes. We should all just be very clear about that. That is vibrational poison to get on Facebook first thing in the morning, or Instagram. So, Instagram a little better than Facebook, but not that much, So, biggest lesson that the universe has handed you in self-care? What is the foundation of your alignment work?
The foundation, let me see. I think choosing me, that has been one of the most profound things that I've ever done. I am, all about community at my core. And, I believe very strongly in people power. However, everyone's intentions are not the same. Everyone's end goals are not the same. So really just choosing me, and then realizing that you can't show people things that they're not ready nor willing to see. And in doing so is you doing a disservice to yourself. So really like choosing me, and then just aligning with like minds, and then realizing that I as badly as I want to help everyone, like me pouring and putting that energy into myself will be more beneficial than me trying to help people that are not willing or ready or wanting, not even knowing that they need to be helped, you know?
Right. Yeah. Abraham Hicks says this thing around you can't teach people with words. You can only teach people through the clarity of your example.
Yes.
And I love that idea of like, I think a lot of times we can run ourselves ragged and just run ourselves to complete burnout, trying to be teachers.
Mm-hmm.
Where I realized a lot of the same thing you're talking about, where when I did choose me and I was like, yo, let me focus on like making sure my vibration is right, let me make sure that my self-care is being practiced and all of these things. That's when I started having an even bigger impact because people could see it.
Right.
I remember at a point in my life when I first got to Soul Collective, I was coming out of rehab. I'd been through a really rough time in my life. My early 20s were all sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And when I met Anand and Estella over there, I was like, who are these people and what do they have? Like, what do they have that I don't have? How are they so light? I got so much anger and so much frustration at everything. But these people, they're just light and loving, and like I don't get it. But I saw it in the example, and that's what made me like kind of gravitate that way and be like, okay, whatever it is, I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna figure out what this is. So I think you're dead on with that, like leading by example and people seeing that. Do you find that you've been able, like, how much more impactful have you been able to be on this side versus the pound in the pavement side?
I think I feel like my reach may have been further when I was like really in the streets and like sliding, shutting shit down, which I rather enjoy. I miss that. But I feel like this, I'm really, I don't know if the reach is farther. Hopefully in time, it is. But I definitely feel like this is more impactful because it's like so personal, and not only is it like at a personal level, like it's for the greater good, like the collective, the community, and it's something that's not like quite normalized, and just really, I don't know. I'm trying to normalize this non-traditional shit, which can be tough, but I'm definitely going to see it through. I feel like it's more people. I don't know. When you go protest, the energy is like heightened and it's different. It's high energy. Whereas like this healing work, I have found that sometimes people don't really like to like sit with themselves and like really be present in the moment that we're in. It's all like we're worried about shit in the future or shit that has happened in the past, when really all we have is right now. So I really try to get people to hone in and center in more so on that. As far as the impact, I'm hoping that my healing and like accountability and like awareness and like this vibe, I'm hoping it's more impactful. But yeah, I don't really know.
Well, I think first and foremost, I love the way that it all works together, right? Like, I come from the shut shit down school as well, and the way that these two can work together, I feel like a lot of times in the shut shit down mentality, like there isn't this healing component, and so it does just bring the anger and the rage, and it brings all of that right to the surface, and then there's not always like a way to process that and to heal through that. So I love seeing this development, especially as like some of us who come from the shut shit down school get a little bit older and are there. I think about the youngsters who are just getting to the shut shit down line. And it's like, yo, you've got some elders who are like willing to sit down and like, yo, let's get all that up, get all that out, do all the shut the whole shit down. Like I will never like there's that ostrich
and then go pour into yourself. Like the burnout aspect is what got to me. And when I was like heavily in this shit, there was like no room for healing. And I tried to create that, and it just went completely left. That's a whole nother thing. But definitely, if you are out there and shit, just make sure that you're pouring back into yourself. So as opposed to burning out, you burn brighter. Make sure you along with at least like one or two like minds that are like pouring back into you, so you're not just out there depleting and giving and giving and giving. Like you have to be really mindful, move mindfully.
Don't burn out, burn brighter. Come on, I told y'all we was getting gems today. Well, and also, you know, another thing that we talk about, and we talk about it for creatives, but I think it goes all across the board, is this idea of being the stone that gets thrown into the river, where we don't always see the ripples that we make because we just sink to the bottom, right? So I think, you know, I know how much I'm impacted by some of the things that you say and just some of the conversations that you're having. So I imagine there's a ton of folks around the city and beyond who are also affected that you just don't know about. They're just less likely to hit you and be like, will you come on my show on Monday so you can tell all the people all the things? So let's see. As far as joy hunting goes, so I've nailed down a couple specific styles, right? So I think there's the new joy hunters and the stay amazed joy hunters, right? So the new joy hunters are people who are constantly looking for that new thing to be grateful for, right? Where the stay amazed joy hunters, this is more my style. Like I'm seriously like in amazement that my heart beat all night last night without me telling it to, and you'll hear me say that over and over again. Over in every episode, I'm thankful for my dog. I'm thankful for my juice. I'm thankful for the sunshine. Like there are these things. You know, lately my kick has been, yo, do you realize that right where you stand, like where your feet touch, is right where the sky and the ground meet? That shit is crazy to me. Like that's like big amazing, right? So what is your joy hunting style? Are you more of a new joy hunter or a stay amazed joy hunter?
I stay amazed. And I feel like I recently got new glasses and contacts for the first time in a really long time. So my vision, I feel like it's kind of enhanced. I know going into 2020, everybody's like, oh, we're going to have this 2020 vision, blah, blah, blah. But the lens that I look at like life through, like I am in awe of like the birds. I oftentimes, I'm like, when they chirp, I'm like, I wonder what they're like talking about. Like, you know, I just find wonderment in like all the things, just the sun, I love to see the sunset, I love to see the sunrise. Just like, I don't know, this huge rock that we're on, this giant rock floating in space, it's amazing to me. I think as humans, sometimes we think we know so much and we really don't. Like there's so much, like in the grandest scheme of things, like we're like that big and
and we just don't know shit.
Right.
Like I mean that helps with everything too. You know what I mean? Like realizing like, we've only been here so long, and like 500 years ago the world was flat, and we knew that. We know so little. So just that definitely helps like stay in amazement as well, where I'm like, yo, the fact that we even survive on this big ass rock and are able to do some of the things, you know, I was really like bugging out the other day about just like water and electricity and how they get to everybody's house individually. Like so wild. Like anyway, I could go on about all of the things that we take for granted on a daily basis that I'm like, yo, they built a whole structure to like keep the rain and the wind off of us, and then it has rooms in it. Like people built this house that I live in. That's wild to me. I couldn't build a house. I wouldn't even know where to begin. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm amazed by people and their ability to do some of these things. So what up?
No?
So how do you know that the work is working?
I know that the work is working because I don't respond the same to like situations. I can like feel my growth internally. I know that the work is working because I'm like heavy on honoring my feelings. Really, I used to kind of hesitate to like, am I feeling like, is this feeling like correct or not necessarily correct, but like my first mind would tell me something and then I would question it. And I think when we get to like overthinking, that's when we create problems that don't exist. So really just following my first mind. What was the question again? My kid is like shuffling like a little lost in the sauce.
What up, Jay? How do you know the work is working?
Oh, yeah. So I know that the work is working. I can just feel it on my insides, just the growth and not responding the same to people or situations or things that like were once triggering to me. I know when like my response and my reaction is differently, I can tell the work is working.
There's that there's that gif of like growth.
Yeah.
Like that's for sure relatable. I think now tell me if you went through this at the same kind of pace, because I think it's pretty common once you start doing that like self-care work, or once you decide that you're going to start actually doing that work. I realized I lost a lot of people. Like all of a sudden I was I felt like I was really alone, where I was like, wait, where'd everybody go? What happened? Like, and I think a lot of people get frustrated by that, or get derailed a little bit by that, where it's like, yo, wait, I don't want to lose everybody here. But I do feel like that's such a common thing that as soon as you decide I'm going to put me first, like I need to choose me, that people who are choosing them or have been, they're used to you choosing them.
Right.
So it's like it's a shift for them. And sometimes those people will come back on the other side and you'll be able to like continue building or rebuilding a new relationship. Other times they disappear because, it's, we talk about alignment and it's about frequency. So if you're raising your frequency and someone's not raising their frequency, then you don't, right? So I mean, I think that's just like a natural part of the process. Did you go through that? Do you see that a lot as a common thing?
Definitely. I realized like everybody's not going to be able to come. And it really is very much just about, I think some people, they're like attached to the like, not necessarily toxic. I feel like we're all toxic. We all have been. We all have room to be toxic, but like that unhealed version of you, there's people that resonate more with that version of you. And like when you really, find yourself and you're really like loving yourself and accepting yourself and aware of like the shit that you cannot accept or entertain anymore, I feel like people will fall off naturally. Like the people that are not for you, when you're really dedicated to your growth and on your personal path, like the ones that aren't supposed to come, like they will not. And I don't really take it as losses. There are some people that I will gladly not talk to ever again, but I still wish them the absolute best. Like I don't have any hate in my heart, like that's too heavy to carry, but just because of situations and like experiences that we've had, like I ultimately, you know, want you to do what's best for you, like do your healing, do whatever it is that you need to do for you, but I can't make you want to do shit that you don't want to do, essentially. And me doing that, like I did that for a long time, and that fucked me up because I'm like, how can you not see that we're in this like situation and like this is detrimental to us all and like our insides and everything, y'all. And it's like, okay, well, Adrianne, take care of you. And in doing that, like the people that are for you or that you need to be with, like they'll gravitate towards you naturally, and all that other shit will like fall off.
So if you are in the midst of that right now, if you are starting this self-work and you're like, yo, what's happening right now? Like all these people who I thought were with me aren't with me. Things feel a little bit different. Just stick through it. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's definitely like part of the process. I'm trying to like find the tires and steering wheel analogy right now, but I don't know enough about cars. But I'm like, there's got to be some part where you got to like smack a tire or like readjust an axle somewhere. There's something there, as far as that part of it goes. And I think even just listening to you talk about that, you just said something that I think is so key. In that, I think all of us are toxic. Mm-hmm. Right? Like that nobody's like free of that. And being able to like that's that accountability shit. That's why I fuck with Adrianne. Super tough. And just this idea kind of in the same, like whether it's everybody's toxic or none of us are toxic, just as long as everybody's like on the same playing field. I have a homie who we talk all the time about. She's like, yo, like humans aren't toxic, right? Like they can be hurtful, they can be all of these things, but toxic is such a poisonous word to like put on a person, to put on a human. And I think just that idea that like we are all that thing that we're calling toxic, right? There's not like, because it has this context that like a toxic person, when in the midst of humanity, will poison the rest of us and make where it's like, no. The toxicity in us poisons us, right? Okay, cool. I like that. Let's see. Any other pointers for folks who are just kind of starting out on this journey? Folks who are working on their self-care.
Yes, let me think. I'm real heavy on like following your first mind, your intuition, trusting your gut. If you feel like something is not for you or not in alignment or not really resonating with you and what you got going on, honor that in that moment, and then, you know, let it marinate and think about it later. Big on reflection and like introspection. I feel like a lot of people project because it's just, you know, easier to do than like sitting with yourself and like really doing the work that you need to do for you. It's easier to judge, you know, another person. And when I find myself judging other people, because I'm not wholly healed at all, but when I do find myself doing that, I'll reflect because I'm like, that's something unhealed within me that I need to work on. So I'll like address that internally. So yeah, and really just.
It's usually something that I do as well. Like if I find something the behavior that someone else is doing, and I'm like, fuck, I can't stand that shit. I can't stand this person because they always do this. And then like by the time that I sit still enough with myself to think about it, I'm like, you know, you can't stand that because that's some shit that you do all the time. Like that's like one of those like vices or one of those like weak points that you have in life. So a lot of times just like sitting with yourself, you realize like, oh, we all reflections. Okay, I get it. Like, yeah.
Big on like forgiving yourself. It's a journey. Nobody has all of the answers. And if you ever encounter somebody that does tell you that they have all the answers, run far because they definitely don't. And it's different for everybody. Be prepared for the not love and light, and just, you know, try to speak kindly to yourself and be gentle with yourself. and just, take care of yourself. The relationship that you have with yourself is reflective of all of the relationships that you have with others. So I feel like, really pouring into and loving yourself and being aware of how you're feeling, and accepting how you feel and honoring how you feel. And if you don't like the feelings that you're feeling, then, trying to put yourself in a different situation or a different frame of mind. So you're not feeling these feelings, because you are the filler of the feelings. You are not the feeling. You feel me? So just try to
Hold on,
reset
hold
the
on, hold on. Run that back. Run that back one thing.
So you are the filler of the feeling, not the feeling. You feel me? So you want to feel differently, try to think different thoughts, or just change your environment for a little bit, or I don't know, really this self-care, self-healing journey. Don't let anybody tell you that they have the answers, or there's a roadmap or instructions. It's different for everybody. So just follow your first mind. Really everything we need is inside of us. It's just a matter of tapping in and getting activated.
I use the phrase "you the expert" all the time to people when they're like, "How do I do that?" You the expert. Yes. I can't tell you anything about you. Right. And then I love this I got nothing against love and light. They're very important. They're very beautiful things. But people be trying to love and light us to death. And you do yourself an incredible disservice if it's only love and light. Because think about if everything was lit up. Like you say, I wear sunglasses because I got bright ass lights in my face. If everything was lit up like these bright ass lights, I couldn't see shit. Right. So this idea that that's what folks call shadow work, because it takes some shadows to help the light shine, and it takes the light to make the shadows. This is a game of balance here in this thing, where a lot of times, this whole idea of this great joy hunt is, there's a lot of that love and light narrative going on out there that lead folks to that ostrich shit, where it's like, yo, we're gonna bury our heads in the sand to oppression and racism and sexism and all of these isms that are destroying us as a people. But I'm on my love and light shit. I only look at good vibes only,
positive energy. Yes.
Right. So this idea of, the great joy hunt being able to raise your frequency in all of this, right? Changing how you respond from the inside to all of these things that are going on, and how you continue to fight. I think as a couple folks who've been on that shut it down side, knowing how important that balance is and that refill is. Kaysen said, I'm really vibing with y'all. This has been my path for a minute, but I'm being reminded and learning new gems with y'all this morning. Thank you for sharing. Grateful. And we grateful you tuning in. Thanks for stopping by. And I'm just gonna, the entire rest of the day, I'm just gonna remind myself that I am the feeler of the feeling, not the feelings. You feel me?
Yes.
That's the single from the album. We're gonna cut an album, y'all. Y'all don't even know it yet. So, I mean, we got a little bit of time to interact with the audience real quick. See if anybody wants to chime in that is on the live. So, and we can get our own little joy hunt going right here too. So, y'all, it's time that I'm gonna ask you that question that I ask you every single day. Where's your joy at?
This how God works. Take my position, what is given with no concerns. Set it off. Top of the morning, I'm gonna set it off.
So my joy this morning is obviously coming from the fact that I get to sit and chat with Adrianne. It's been 10 months since I've seen anybody period in person, and I think it's been a little bit longer than that since I've seen Adrianne out and about, because we both be a little bit on that introvert side of things. I see Adrianne pretty much when I'm like, yo, I'm having people over. Do you want to come over to the house and hang out? Like that's when me and Adrianne actually see each other in person. Um, so I'm so excited to be able to like sit down and really like dig deep with you today on all of this. Um, Definitely got me to my 10 this morning. You know what I mean? I feel good. I feel real good. Um, so there's definitely that. And then just the ability to share this stuff with other people, to have these conversations, to have Kason weighing in, saying balance.
It's major.
And yes, on that feeling quote. That feeling quote is everything. That feeling quote is everything. If I could go back and rename this episode, that's what I would name this episode, is that quote. Um, so, just being able to share these conversations and have these conversations in a public space where people can like kind of come back later and tune into it. I think I'm gonna start turning these Monday interviews with the homies into a podcast so that people can listen to them when they clean the house and get that quote about being the feeler of the feelings, not the feeling itself. You feel me? What about you? Where's your joy at this morning?
My joy. I feel like I'm definitely on 10 now. I'm in good spirits. My daughter's here. She's in good health. Mondays I hang out with my little homie, so he's schooling. And we're good. We're in good spirits, in good health. The sun looks like it's peeking out. I might try to get a little bike ride in later. That'll be nice.
Dope. And
like this energy exchange has been amazing. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Kason says, save this video and share. Kason, where's your joy at this morning? Where's your joy at this morning? If anybody watching, we encourage you to chime in. Where's your joy at, y'all? Where's your joy at? You know what time it is. Yeah, and I was seeing, it was really dope. This weekend, I watched a video where Oprah is talking to Brene Brown. And just this idea. So Brene Brown studies joy as well as like studying shame and the antithesis of joy, right? And when Oprah talked to her about joy, she said, I will never mention joy again without mentioning gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, that's like confirmation of the work we've been doing here, right? Like this idea of like finding and cultivating gratefulness in order to find and cultivate joy. So that's why we do this part. That's why we tap in with y'all to ask, where's your joy at?
Yeah.
Where's your joy at? What are you joyful for this morning? Let's see. Yeah, that sunshine is for sure one of those. Cha-Cha says, my joy is with these blue skies and the smell of my yummy essential oils as I start my workday. Grateful to have a job. Yo, real. That stability. And like, see, I like the combination there because it's like the blue skies, the essential oils, and then work. Like that feels like a good order to me. You know what I mean? So yeah, the skies for sure. I'm definitely going to go sit out. If y'all don't know, one of the natural ways to like ward off depression is through vitamin D. Vitamin D you get directly from the sun. So go take some time when it's out. I was talking to the elder in Minnesota the other day, and he said it was -9 degrees out there. So if you are in California and you are getting sunshine, then like be grateful for that sunshine. We also I'm really grateful for the rain that happened over this weekend. Like we definitely need the rain. I know it's nice to have these like springtime days in January, but when it comes to summertime and those fires start rolling, like we're going to wish that we had a little bit of rain. So we're going to stay super thankful for the rain out here and just the way that it kind of keeps us all safe, and it keeps everything growing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And again, that's another one of those like stay amazed things where I'm like, yo, we have these things called clouds in the sky, and then they just decide to like open up and dump water on us. Like that shit is magic to me, y'all. Shit is magic. Where's your joy at? If you are tuned in, I see a few of you on the live stream right now. Tell me where your joy is at, where it's currently coming from this morning. What are you grateful for? We are cultivating joy. Adrianne is almost done with the coffee this morning.
Damn here.
ready for the second cup. Oh wow, is it already? It's already 11. We already did an hour. That's wild. That's wild. I feel like we could do another hour pretty easily just shooting the shit. Man, it's such a blessing to be able to like connect this way. I'm so thankful for this technology too.
I know.
It's so. I'm like, yo, what did they do in the Spanish flu? Like, what? Like, how did they talk to each other? How did they? Okay, Kaysen coming in heavy right now. My joy this morning is my cup of Earl Grey, spirit, source, universe, and all the blessings. Selling a couple paintings, wrote a new song yesterday. My sweetheart, my chosen family, my community, my shelter, my home comforts, my skills and abilities, the shadow work, this breath I'm breathing and connecting with you two this morning. Unexpected when opening my phone to see this because I've been sleeping and didn't know you were doing these, Andrew. My bad. But I'm joyful and grateful that I stumbled. I think that word's going to be upon.
Mm-hmm.
We reached the max capacity that I can show on this comment, which is amazing. This is a first. This is the most lit joy recount that I have ever seen right here. This is the most but that's what it is. You could tell even just in the way I was reading that, right? Like you could tell that one was building on the other. I could feel the vibration picking up just in reading that because we're going from one to the other, and this is all a game of momentum. You know what I mean? This is all a game of momentum. So, when you start off in the morning, we realize, I don't know if you've ever had a bad day that like started when you got out of bed, you stubbed your toe. And then from then on, then someone called and they needed money and your bank account didn't have it. And then the dog ran outside when it wasn't supposed to. And then it's momentum, right? Because where you put your focus, that's where the momentum that's where we'll see the momentum kind of picking up. So getting in the momentum of a good day, like we just saw in this comment right here, like we fully rolling downhill halfway through this comment, so Casey, you an expert. You're already an expert joy hunter. I need some graduation music. Liv tuned in and said, "Oh, it's Adrianne. My joy comes from reconnecting this past couple of weeks with a few different humans that I love. My joy is Norman about to give me another tattoo. Shout out, Norma, stay. My joy is I'm kind of kicking ass at work and this sun, though. Hella joy." Nice. Yep. Big love, big joy. Hey, boo, your singing brings me joy. I don't know who that's for. You be singing, Adrianne?
Not I.
Kaysen be singing.
Kaysen the singer.
All right, y'all. Well, unless anybody else wants to chime in with their joy, I think we're coming up on our hour-long broadcast. Adrianne got all kinds of things to go and do. She's a clothing designer as well. Where can people, find out a little bit more about you and what you're doing right now? You got a website, right?
I do. So my website is adriannealigned.com. And I have a Facebook, Adrianne Aligned, a little Facebook page, and I have my Instagrams. But I'm trying to be more intentional with using my website because I have a bit more juice on there as opposed to using a social media medium, but I'm on there dropping gems all the time, trying to be more intentional with it. And yeah, but yes.
So y'all make sure you go to the website right down here, adrianaligned.com. Check everything out, and then you can get linked to all of the other amazing projects that Adrianne got going on. And you know, we got an album coming out 2021. Look for that on the top of the Billboard charts. You know what I'm saying? We out here. We are. I'm like only halfway joking right now because Adrianne got bars and she be hiding her bars. She be hiding that little light of hers under the bushel. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what we're not gonna do in 2021. So we're gonna work some things out because I think that voice is something that definitely needs to be heard. I mean, y'all been tuned in for an hour now, just watching the gems like fall out of Adrianne's pockets that we can all pick up. You feel me? You are the feeler of the feelings, not the feeling. Feel me? So yeah, that's it. That's another day on the Great Joy Hunt. I want to just give you so many roses. Like, I have an entire rose garden over here for you, for just everything that you do and everything that you are. You know, it's always like my supreme pleasure when we get to catch up, and especially when we get to talk about energy and vibrations and doing that self-care work. So thanks for joining me. And anything you want to leave the people with?
Let me see. Work smarter, not harder. And smile. Yeah, trust your gut, follow your first mind. And also, in following your first mind, like, be okay with stepping into your power, because we're way more powerful than we are thought to believe that we are. So, you know, just accept it and go with the flow. Flow, don't force.
Dang, dang. Mm-hmm. All right, y'all. Well, that being said, we up out. My name is Andrew Defy, and I love you, and you can't do shit about it.
This how God works. Take my position, what is given with no concerns. Set it off. Top of the morning, I'm gonna set it out.